Hey everybody, this is Professor Lucien. This is the, video, the recorded video for 481. It's analysis and design. I like to call it senior design, sounds better. And so on the screen here, I'm just going to kind of go through what we've done this semester. I'll in a moment here, I'll show you this week's assignments. You could call this a skinny week. We're not going to do as much. This should have been spring break. I need a break for sure. I am exhausted. I'm sure you are too. But so we do have a live WebEx presentation on Thursday. What we're doing is right now I'm recording this one. I'm going to review things we've done, and I'm going to explain why in a moment. Thursday, the guy who, my former student who took over the safety coordinator position for the Poinet site, and we're going to have an open discussion in front of you. And you're going to be able to hear safety from... Basically, we're going to talk about some of the things that have been holding us back. The real world things that don't allow you to maybe follow through as you'd want to. Things always take longer than they should. There are other things to consider, and I want you guys to hear that from us. It's something that even when you're in your internship, you may not get fully exposed to because, maybe you're being shielded by your boss. And so we're going to try to be as honest and forthright as possible, and I think it'll be very educational for you. I do. And maybe you'll even have some ideas, some insights to help us out. That's always nice. The real-world case study for this week is not your typical one, and I'll explain it in a moment. It's something I'm working on now, and when I was talking to a colleague of mine, he's like, you should ask the students what they can find. And so, good idea. But what I think is probably most important is that you all should be working on your case studies this week. You should at least be starting it, casing the joint, if you will. So setting it up is what I'm saying. Setting it up, selecting it, defining it. I had to review a capstone intern case study last week, and he did a decent job, but he didn't define the problem really well. He more or less had a solution before he proposed a problem, and so therefore there was a disconnect in the executive summary, and I let him know. So, I want you to approach it with the idea that either it's a confirmatory study that I think this is the way things are going to be, and now I'm going to challenge that idea, or two, exploratory. I don't know what I'm going to find, and therefore the tools I use are meant to evaluate versus, being more of a confirmation. It's just something to be thinking about. But please be working on that. I want you to give me a progress because it's due on the 26th. So if you guys can rock it and get it done early, enjoy your break. That's what it really comes down to. No assigned readings this week. Again, it's a skinny week. I also, I don't know what's been going on. I've been so busy that I had hoped to get you mentors for this week, but we're going to extend that to next week. I'll be able to get them assigned, I hope, by midweek. You can contact them and set something up for next week, and so that'll be for next week. So next week will just be basically work on your case study, interview a mentor. That's all it's really going to be. And then we've got spring break. I kind of need to get there. You guys probably do too. So what I want you to do is, after I kind of review what's on the Canvas page, I would like you to kind of just reflect and think about where you've gotten to. And this is important because when you get into safety and start working, the best laid plans tend to be disrupted because things come up. Something breaks down and somebody has a question. You have to answer it now. Got to figure stuff out. But if you succumb to those, unpredictable, unplanned priorities, it's difficult to make actual improvements because all you're doing is running around fixing things. And a safety program, to be successful and effective, you need to be able to get ahead of that. And one way to do that is to document what you're working on and make sure that you keep updating and prioritizing your to-do list, triaging things as they come in, and make sure you're leaving enough time and thought and effort to keep moving the safety program forward. If you don't, then it's never really going to improve, and all you're doing is you're staying really busy, but you're just fixing things as they come in. And I hope at this point of your your college careers, you understand that's not the way to manage safety. And actually, you're probably not going to like your job if that's what you're doing. So we're going to look back. That's what I want you to do, is look back and maybe set some additional goals for yourself, because the few of you that I've kind of talked to in depth, you've already pretty much accomplished what I wanted you to this semester, and I salute you. So this week's scenario that I mentioned before is one thing the engineers are trying to get me to do is to come up with either an evaluation form or technique and rebuild their lockout tagout program. That's the energy de-energization plan, so that operators can do some sort of minimal type work. So like if a filter or fabric or something gets jammed up, that they don't have to just shut everything down, wait for maintenance to show up, to basically open the door, remove something, and then get it going again. That are the current interlocking controls that are in place, do they make it so that an operator could open one of the gates or doors, unblock the blockage or remove the debris or clear something out, close it up and keep working safely? And so there's a term that I've kind of been zeroing in on, and pun intended, I guess, zero injury exposure. So that if they open one door, and in opening that, it isolates and releases any stored energy for the equipment, could they safely go in and out? Now, they're not going to be removing things that would expose them to electricity or to heat or to blades or to things that have potential energy. It would be nothing's going to move within the vicinity, so they should be able to remove it. I'm wondering what you guys can find. I've already found something that I'm probably going to base this on, but I think it's a good experience for you all, because if you read the higher level things from OSHA, they simply state, no, you can't go in unless everything is locked out and tagged out. But if you keep digging, you'll find some language that there are exceptions, and those exceptions have definitions, and I'm going to see what you guys can find. It's I know when I was a compliance officer with OSHA, it was, it's like, no, you can't rely on these interlocking guards or circuitry. You have to, turn things off, lock it, and make sure there's nothing stored. But from a manufacturing perspective and a productivity perspective, there's got to be some gray area. And so that's what I want you guys to think about. So I put on here ANSI and OSHA. There's other stuff out there too. There may be some people who manufacture or create lockout tagout systems that have some ideas or some letters of interpretation. And so I want you to look into that. This can be very, very simple. Just do some searching, collect what you find, make sure you provide me the sources for your citations, and make your recommendation to me. So I'm not looking for a big write-up. I'm looking for like a page. That's about it. And then again, give me an update on your progress. So let's go through it now. So I put this into student view because otherwise you'll see all the stuff I see. And started the semester with surveys. I thought that was good. I've been trying to promote the use of LinkedIn. I see some of you are still using it. Some, it's kind of faded away. I still get on frequently and share things and connect with people. And I just, if you're going to, you really should be growing your professional network right now. It'll pay dividends if you put the time and effort into it. That's pretty much all I can say. Here's a little bit more information about case studies and the internship agreement, syllabus, and stuff for the case study. So make sure you're accessing the stuff as you move forward. Here's some stuff on LinkedIn. Hopefully you are finding time to do it. I know what students told me last semester is the time that they were spending typically like on Instagram. I think that's what they said, that they were kind of converting that into LinkedIn time on their phones. And I was like, great. The student safety org really hasn't done anything because the stuff we did last semester, nobody really showed up. So kind of putting that off. But you should all be members of ASSP and receiving things from society. Let's see here. Here's information on the capstone. So if you haven't already, you need to fill out your paperwork if you got something. talk to Kvant in the office or email Kvant if you have questions on that, or Dr. Bookman because they are the internship coordinator. But here are all the forms you have to fill out. Here's a link to graduation and commencement. Being that most of you are going to be summer, like August grads, you can actually go through commencement in May. If you're on the fence, I recommend it. There are very few ceremonies in life now where you get to either wear a uniform or a costume. They have them in the military. They have them in religions. Let's see, where else do they have those? Wedding, I guess, in a way, But you should celebrate your life milestones. And I think if you don't do it, you may regret it. Because I wasn't going to do it, and I was forced to do it by my family, and it's something that I had to apologize for resisting. It's a good thing. And then also if you're going to be graduating, you need to apply for graduation. I think I've got something here on that right here. If you haven't done that, please do that. Most of you took advantage of the student spotlight, and it'll be interesting to find out near the end of the semester where it brought you. Thank you for those who volunteered. I hope you enjoyed that. I think it's a good way to get your name and your face out there and expand your network. So in week 1, got a video here. That's when we met with Frank Lanko. He really got things rolling for thinking about your resumes and applications and using the resources available to you through UW. And I think that's an important step. I know some of you were a little bit ahead of others, but it's still good to go through that exercise. Week 2. I'm wondering, have you updated your resumes at all? Have you thought about it? Have you been extending your job search or internship search? Don't let that blade get dull, ladies and gentlemen. I still, I've said this before, I still watch job boards. I still interview on a fairly regular basis. Even if it's a job that I'm not really sure if I want, if they're interested in meeting me, I'll invest the time. It's just a few hours. So I recommend that. I do. Don't ever stop looking. Keep that blade sharp. If you learn one thing from me, that's my best advice. That and network, like there's no tomorrow. Okay, what else? So we talked about a business case for safety. We had a recording. This was with Jill and her colleague at HSI. And it's important that you understand the need for selling ideas and selling your value. It's something you always have to do. And I found that I've got these biweekly, these monthly, and these quarterly meetings. And when I go in there, I really try to sell not only what I've accomplished, but what I plan to accomplish, and to make others look good. I don't know if you guys noticed that some of the posts that I create on LinkedIn is me trying to brag about my students, or to compliment something that a former student or colleague has done. So that's how I have kind of tried to get myself out there, is to be someone who, I don't want to say praises, but acknowledges success, acknowledges good work. And I think that's important. We started looking at case studies. You guys really picked that up quick. And then we had the career fair. Talked a little bit about ASSP and BCSP. We had Tim. Tim is sending me the books, by the way. So once we get those, we'll have to find a way to get those out to you. If you remember, he talked about providing copies of his book. I'm surprised it's not here, but I'm friends with Tim on Facebook, and he is in the Maldives, and I am really jealous. He is in an over-the-water, what do they call those? Room? Over-the-water hut? Over the ocean. What do they call those? The rooms where they're beautiful, and there's some glass floors, and the water is like pristine and turquoise, and the sunset and the sunrise are beautiful. Yeah, so he's living it up right now. I've always wanted to go to something like that, but I'm worried that I'd never come back. I'd be searching the want ads while I was there. How can you leave paradise? Anyway, okay, he's getting way off track here. So in week 4, we went to the fair. That was pretty much it, and you guys did some more of the case study stuff. So you can kind of see how we're building here. Then we had Brad. It seems like Brad just spoke a few weeks ago, and he did fantastic job. Again, bringing in Tim, bringing in Brad. and others. I'm exposing you to people who you'll see at national conferences. These people are very well known, very well respected in the field, and I'm very fortunate that they're willing to come and speak to you all. After that, we got into the cost benefit analyses. In a way, I try to provide you with some resources to build from, and actually, some of these may benefit you in the work for this week. Yeah, interesting. That's kind of cool. Yeah. And then, yeah, I provided some pretty good resources here. And then you guys got to do another real world case study. And we had the other one here, didn't we? Yeah. So that was kind of fun. I'll be modifying those with my independent study student for future classes. Last week, if you didn't already, make an appointment with me to go over your binder. It's okay. This is a skinny week, so we can kind of make up anything that was missed last week. And it was really difficult for me to find time in the evenings because I was so busy. So go ahead and do that. Let's see, what else did we do? So we started talking about scientific methodology, and I think that's important. When you go to graduate school, I'm just going to cut to the chase here. When you go to graduate school, it's all about training you to think scientifically, to be able to appreciate, understand, identify biases, and make attempts to either control or measure them in order to be as objective as possible as you search for, whether you want to call it the answer or the truth or an understanding. And it improved my practice of safety, 1,000-fold. That if you just solve a problem based on what you see in front of you, you're probably not going to get the right answer. It's more complex than that. It's more layered than that. And that's what I was trying to teach you last week. And this week, the discussion between Corey and I think you'll get even a greater appreciation for what one must do within a work environment to achieve effective safety. Because people want it, but they don't understand that other priorities seep in constantly. And it's interesting to be someone like me who I feel like a little bit of an outsider, that I observe how it's influencing attitudes and language and how people act in meetings based on those unplanned, uncontrolled priorities that pop up. It's interesting. It really is. You think you figured it out, and then you get sort of knocked off course. And safety's the same way. It really is. But I enjoy that. I enjoy the challenge. As sad as it sounds, I mean, it's Sunday night, and I'm looking forward to going in tomorrow and getting more done. Because the achievements are great, and the work we do is noble. And we're trying to protect people's lives and health and wellness. So, moving into week 8. Now, week 8, again, it's a skinny week. I really need you all to be, hopefully everybody proposes a case study that is going to demonstrate that you can properly define an issue, and then again, either do a confirmatory study that they're doing what they should be doing, or that there's something missing, or an exploratory study that we're not really sure what's going on or what is needed, and you're going to attempt to find it. And depending on the questions I get from you this week, I could generate or provide some additional reference materials of what students have done in the past in my classes. I had a student who did a safety audit at a Home Depot, and he did an excellent job. And so that kind of confirmed to me that a case study could be done practically anywhere. I've had students do them in like their dad's wood shop, and that's fine. It's not the how technical or industrial the focus is. It's the technique you use and the caution you apply in being as unbiased and objective as possible. I hope that helps. So that's what we're doing this week. So that's really all I wanted to cover. This went a little bit longer than I had hoped, but in between, reviewing what you've done and setting your own goals, and I'm setting mine too. That's why I'm so busy. So I'm trying to get caught up on some things. And last week I made some big strides with my volunteer leadership position with ASSP. I got some stuff rolling, son. So so do these things. Hopefully you guys can attend the presentation with Corey and I, though it'll be recorded, and that link will be provided to you. But we're getting closer and closer to the due date for your first case study, which is basically the beginning of spring break. So, ladies and gentlemen, let's get to spring break. Let's get it done this week. Next week it could be another skinny week with things, but you'll have a mentor to talk to, and I may follow up on some of the things I've been working on too. So, hope you're all doing well. Reach out to me if you have questions, but I do hope to see you at some point this week, either WebEx. It'd have to be through WebEx this week. So have a good week, everybody.